So apparently my parents talk about a lot of heavy stuff on their podcast. Listen at your own discretion. Like, comment, subscribe, and share or whatever. Anyways, welcome to Sobriety.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm Ryan. This is Jess. We are sober as fuck. Before we get to today's special guest, I do want to remind everybody we are available on all platforms, every single platform out there. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment, review, all the things.
Tell us if you hate us or love us or whatever. It doesn't matter. Just
everywhere in
comment.
between. That's right. Also, check out our website, safpodcast.com. safpodcast.com has all our challenges, blogs, merch. Jess has been working her ass off on it. Go check it out.
Yes.
Yes, tirelessly.
It's
full-time fucking job.
It's an overused phrase, but labor of love. Sometimes it's a labor of hate.
Yes,
you know, sometimes I'm like, I fucking hate this bullshit. I'm hiring somebody to do this. No, it's a labor of love, but there's a lot of good stuff coming. You can find the podcast on our website. Yep. We now have an Amazon storefront, which I really need to start marketing. Okay. Any of our guests who have had books, all of their books are linked there. All of Ryan's workout stuff, baking stuff. I mean, pretty much anything that we use on a daily basis is on there, even stuff not related to the podcast. Blogs, we ask people to share their stories on there. So anybody can be featured on a blog, be somebody, tell your story. Coaching. We have some really exciting stuff coming up for coaching that I'll be announcing soon.
Resources.
Yep. I'm always adding to that. Merch. We do have merch. There's not a lot on there right now, but there's some exciting stuff to come.
That's right.
What else?
That's about it. That's all I got.
I'm just selling my soul. Buy me, please.
Buy it.
I'm auctioning myself off. Come on. It's for a good cause.
That's
people.
Right. And speaking of resources, one of our resources on the website is Reframe. Reframe is what I used to really get me started on my journey.
Saved your life.
And it did save my life. I'm not going to lie. It changed my life so much for the better. The people, the community, everything about it, and still does to this day. I'm still at least on a meeting literally every single day on Reframe. One meeting that is near and dear to my heart is actually one that the guest today host, which is a journal meeting. And you'll catch me on it literally every single Friday. It used to be on Thursdays, which was better. But now it's on Fridays, and I'm always on it all the time. This guest we're bringing on today is Kevin Bellack. And Kevin is the head of coaching at Reframe. I blame him for all my journaling that I do. All 10, 12 journals that I own, probably about 30 books that I own. He started me on 75 hard. Kevin's done a lot for me. And
if
I
I
appreciate
remember,
him very much.
If you go back to maybe the second, I think it was actually maybe Mickey's episode, or maybe, I don't know, it doesn't matter. One of the first 3 episodes that we ever recorded, you talk a lot about Kevin, and you attribute like your whole life to him. Yes. And I was on Reframe. The only reason that I didn't renew my subscription is I'm so busy that I just literally don't have time. But, I poured my heart out to a lot of the meetings and just listening, and I mean, Kevin is like the Messiah in this house.
He is. He's the Oracle.
I need to put a picture of him at the front door.
Yeah, Kevin, I attribute a lot to this guy. He was actually was the very first meeting I ever got on Reframe. Kevin was actually hosting, and it really just took off from there.
It was the tattoos.
It was the tattoos.
You're like, oh my God.
He loves a good tattoo, and he loves his coffee and his mugs, by the way. Got me started on that too. Yeah, thanks a lot. Anyway, Kevin's an amazing guy. I've met him a couple times. I'm extremely happy to call this guy a good friend of mine. If I needed anything, I know I could pick up the phone and call him. He's a hell of a guy. Anyway, Kevin is about to celebrate 7 years of sobriety, which is absolutely incredible. I love that. So let's hear his story. Let's welcome Kevin Bellack to the show.
Hey.
And there he is.
Sorry, I was just drinking coffee and journaling while I waited.
Just drinking coffee and looking at my tattoos.
That's right.
Nice here.
Kevin's like a walking billboard, right? He's buying all this stuff. Just come buy it from me.
I know.
That podcast, was that today? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I didn't. You caught me at such a weird time. I did let out a Jesus, like whenever you were like Messiah. I'm like, oh,
The Oracle.
Yeah, the Oracle. No.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. I know it's been like a long time coming, it feels like, but you're finally joining us.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
That's
You're
usually
busy.
on me.
Yeah. And have you buried out of the snow yet up there? Or dug yourself out?
The sun's been out, so it's melting a little bit, but it's...
Is it just like dirty, like nasty snow at this point?
No,
All piled
not
up?
yet. Not like
Okay.
right around here, but I'm sure I'm sure in some areas it is. Let's see. Today is 22 degrees, feels like 12, so that's always fun
There
up
you
here.
Toasty.
Not too bad, but
Not to brag, but it's going to be 60 degrees here tomorrow. So
nice. Yeah, I get it. My wife and daughter are down in Alabama. Well, they're at Auburn, which is in Alabama, but Auburn and Georgia today for college tours. So
Nice.
so they're enjoying a little bit nicer weather.
both great schools.
Yep. Very good schools.
Yeah. So the last two on our list that she hasn't seen. So figured just dot our I's and cross our T's.
There you go.
But yeah, we'll see where that goes. That's a fun thing to go through. So
Yeah.
Is your wife a blubbering mess yet?
not yet. I think especially not after the texts I was getting last night from my daughter, her dealing with my daughter on very little sleep and a flight and
Right.
Driving and all that. So yeah,
Have you
she's good.
seen? It's a comedian, Leanne Morgan. She's like gained huge popularity, and she's like, I'm convinced that God just makes them, or whatever you believe in, makes them so mean in high school so that you can let them go.
Yeah.
So it's
Makes it
not
easy
as
to
hard.
let go.
Yeah, and she is like me. So we butt heads a lot. So
Fun. That's this guy and Lily for sure.
yeah, it's I try my best, but it still
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. So give us a little details about Reframe, who you're head of coaching for. Give us some information on that for our listeners.
Yeah, Reframe is an app that you can find on Android or iOS that helps people cut back or quit drinking alcohol, plain and simple. That's the easy part of it. But there's a lot in there, right? I mean, it's just not it's funny how many times I'm sure you've heard over the years too that people are on meetings sharing like, oh yeah, I just downloaded this for the drink counter, or just do some daily tasks, and how much it can help with change of any kind. Like there's daily tasks, there's a toolkit, there's a forum that people can share on at any point in the day, and someone's going to message you back most likely pretty quickly. We have about, I'll say 360-ish community meetings a month. So roughly, on average 10 a day that we host via Zoom, that anybody who joins the app can join in on. And it is we do have drink trackers and all the information and all of that stuff as well. We're starting with we're starting out group coaching again. We have one-on-one coaching, which I do a lot of. And yeah, we're doing a couple of new things as well. We have a new app called Reframe Ultra that helps people if you want to have just a team built around you to help. You can have, it's getting tests for like different biomarkers, different blood work. It gives you the ring, the scale, all the glucose monitors, all that, and you have a team to help you with sleep and nutrition and exercise and mindset. And we also do Reframe labs, which you can get blood work done pretty quick and easily. through something local towards you, around you. That's U.S. only, I believe, at this time. And yeah, so I mean, we're just constantly kind of adding things into the mix that could be helpful, right? And I always thought of it as kind of like a choose your own adventure app, essentially, because I've heard people use it in so many different ways. Some people just come in, track their drinks, do the drink counter, or track their AF days, maybe do their daily tasks, and that's it. Other people just come in and go to meetings, so it's options. They abound there.
I do have a question about the daily tasks. So today I'm 997 days alcohol free. So there's that roadmap, right? And I always thought, I wonder what happens when I get to the end of that roadmap. And I hit it like 100 days ago, and it just kept going. And it's like, I wonder if the daily task would just stop. I will say that's one of the really cool things. I mean, the meetings was like the game-changing thing for me, but learning the neuroscience behind what was going into my body every day, those small daily tasks, and clicking that green mug that I didn't drink that day, to me was really huge accountability part of the app. I mean, I absolutely love it. And still to this day, I still love it.
Yeah. I think some kind of routine, or definitely, like you said, that accountability piece is important with any change. Like, we have to kind of, start somewhere and do something simple. I always like checking off something each day too. That's why I say I have like my new habit tracker that I'm using. And, I'm one that's an all or nothing kind of mindset. So with that, I always add into habit trackers where I'm going to check something off, something that I'm just always going to do. I love putting no alcohol on there, because now it's like not even a thing. It's like I go in, swipe that off. And I always put things on there that I know I'm not going to do, because that way I know this isn't going to be perfect, and I'm going to check everything off each day.
And you're always thinking about it.
And it gives you that little win too. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we've talked about the little like tricks that you do with your mind, like just that checking off. It seems so obvious, but it's like the physical act of doing it. You're like, I accomplished something today. And it just makes you want to accomplish more. Something that I really like about Reframe, and what really pulled me in too, was the loved ones meetings. I like those because you don't have to like have the app. It's open to the public. And those are really cool because, Reframe is all about, it's community based, right? And so having the people in your life like be able to talk, and providing a space for them to talk through those things is important too, because like when you were getting sober, just like when my brother's getting sober, there's nothing that you can necessarily do to help, but there are a billion things you can do to hurt. And it's very, very difficult. So having a space where you can talk and be like, I'm scared, I'm pissed, I'm this, and it can be more self-centered in a good, positive way for that loved one without like projecting it onto the person. I just found that was really, really incredible. And I love that it was like open to the public to be like, listen, like, yeah, we are here for people who are struggling with drinking, but we're a community. We are here to encourage everyone to work together towards the goal. And I really enjoyed that, because you don't see that a lot with other apps. I like that. And I like the neurodivergent meetings, and it just seems like all encompassing, and the neuroscience behind it too. It's not just all like your run of the mill like therapy. It's like you're giving up to date research and facts.
Yeah. And we're constantly updating that. And I don't know what day it ends. It's definitely past 1,000.
I'm waiting on it. I'm just waiting for that one day we're open. It's like, you've reached the end.
The secret is it never ends. It never ends.
Yeah. And it has looped around for some people, but I think since then we've added it. And it's funny because, I think Reframe started in June of 2020. And I was hosting on the 1,000 Hours Dry Instagram page at that time. I hosted one of the days, and it, so I knew we got connected. That's how I got connected to Reframe, is because Kayla, who founded 1,000 Hours Dry, got connected with the founders of Reframe. And, that's why 1,000 Hours Dry Challenge has been in Reframe, and we run that account and all that now. But I just knew about it. I was an ambassador then, I guess, on Instagram sharing it, but I knew it was coming out. I knew what day it was coming out. And I remember my wife and I were out on a walk at like 6:30 in the morning, and I was like, oh, the app came out today, and I downloaded it on the walk. And so I call myself I'm the first official reframer. I don't know if I am or not. But it was funny because early on it was a small app, and it wasn't even called Reframe at the time. And then they switched it shortly thereafter, but it was, the daily tasks. I had the phone numbers for the founders, and I'd get to since I was the first one to start, right? You don't need day 997 when you have to go one day at a time to get to that. And I remember getting to day 12, and I'd get in there and there'd be nothing. There was just blank space where the daily task should have been. And I would text them and be like, hey, just so you know, I'm on day 12. I was like the canary in the coal mine. I'm like, hey, I'm on day 12 and there's nothing there. Like, oh, okay, thanks, Kevin. We'll load it up the next 10 days. And so they were kind of building the airplane as they went. They had the content. It just wasn't in the app yet.
Right.
So yeah, it was kind of funny that
you were the guinea pig.
That's so cool, though.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, do you ever look back? I mean, and just be like, man, that talk about a baby that you've raised. That's incredible.
Yeah. And it's been, I just was sharing kind of a little bit of that story on, we do the Reframe book club, and we just got done with The Power of Habit. And there's one thing in there he talks about called Keystone Habits, and it's about small wins, and they don't necessarily, it's doing something that doesn't necessarily relate to the thing that you're doing, but, and I went back to my, I'm like, the reason I'm here talking to you now or on that meeting or whatever is because my therapist back in 2019 made an offhanded comment, and I started an Instagram page. And then I went on that page, and I, and the comment was because I was about 3 months alcohol free at the time. And that's in my current stint of this. And I didn't know what I was doing or how long I was going to do this for and all that. And all these pictures are coming up. A year ago today, you were doing this. And a lot of times I was an excellent first drink of the night photographer to put on my Instagram page back then. And it was just this one, I could picture it. There was a burger, there was a beer. I had the portrait mode on and the lush green woods back here. It was beautiful. But I'm like, oh, I want that so bad right now. And I couldn't get out of my head. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to drink at some point here. I'm trying to figure out what to do. And I told her about that on one of our sessions. And she just said, she's like, well, how about you start posting some better pictures, and then next year you'll have something better to look at. I was kind of like, huh, okay. And so I started a separate page to kind of keep it separate. And all I did was post 3 pictures a day. And I posted my day count. So if you go all the way down to the bottom of my Instagram feed, you'll see 3 pictures, three. It's kind of the same. It's day count, a picture I took that day, and a picture I found that was either funny or helpful or whatever from the interwebs. And it was every day, 3. I just posted that. And for 2-3 months, and then I was posting one day on my couch, and I looked over at my wife. It was a Saturday or Sunday. And do you know I have a separate Instagram account? And she's like, no, why? I'm like, oh, I'm just posting pictures. So she followed me, but it was from that I started sharing more, and I was kind of getting into journaling, as you mentioned, I considered my first early journaling was messaging my therapist when I had a craving, getting curious about it, okay, what just happened? And I would kind of just write it down, and then sometimes I would send it to her, sometimes I wouldn't, but I would process that. Usually, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm not ready to look at this just yet. Let's go distract myself a little bit. But then so I started doing that. I started, doing the Miracle Morning and doing the scribing there. My gratitude list of just a couple things. then I started making up rules for that because I kept saying the same shit over and over again. And it was like, okay, you can't say the same thing twice in a week, just to, branch out. And I do, in the journaling meeting, since you mentioned that, I've done 4 of them so far. So occasionally, every couple months, I'll do a weird gratitude meeting where we talk about, and I have the Grateful as Fuck deck, and the card deck that has just random shit on it, like tater tots and pillows and redwood trees
pickles,
and
all
just
kinds of shit.
Yeah, pickles and toilet paper and then it says something funny on the back of it. But I love doing that meeting because I think it's so important to do and think about, because when you think gratitude, it's like, oh, my wife and my daughter and my job and it's all it's all the things I'm supposed to say. But it's like, no, let's look for the weird shit. Let's look for the random stuff too. And I did mention I took my ADHD meds right before this, and I'm already off track. I'm sitting here already like, damn it, where was I going with that?
No, you're good.
With the journaling, the gratitude. But then I started like using Instagram as kind of like, I would write it. I would send it to my therapist. Maybe I would share it with my wife. That was an early way that helped me, because I'm not one with the words as much whenever I have to share like feelings or stuff like that, but I can write them down and process them. And that's why journaling was so helpful for me, because it was a space to dump whatever was going on in my head, and I could share if I wanted to. And so a lot of times I'd be sitting on the couch and we're watching TV, and I would just be sitting there typing on my phone, and then I'd copy and paste and I'd send it to my wife and be like, take a look at that when you get a chance. I'm like, if you want to know what I'm thinking right now, that's it. And it was helpful. I mean, kind of opened that door up a little bit and found a way to do that. But yeah, and then I just started maybe throwing some of that on Instagram, and took my account from private to public, and I saw an opening for 1,000 Hours Dry, and I was like, hey, maybe I could do that. I like that, love that page. And I came on there and yada, yada, yada.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like one thing led to another, led to another, led to another.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of a wild ride, to say the least.
And I'm glad you did, because, it introduced us. I mean, you were my first meeting. So it was, it was very interesting. I've tried quitting a few times, and then I don't know what it was, but I got on that first meeting. You were there and just open, and I don't know. It was a different experience for sure, being on a Zoom meeting than it was being in person. I don't know what it was, but everything just clicked for me. It was like, wow, these are my people, and listening to the stories and thinking like, wow, I relate to that. I've done that. And they got sober. God, I can do that. I mean, it was really cool. A different way of putting a spin on something that to me has kind of gotten old and outdated. With going to the rooms and the meetings all the time. It was convenience was another thing too.
Yeah.
Was being able to get on your phone or your computer at work or the computer at home, and just being on there and getting with people like-minded or they're going through the same struggles that you are, and hearing those stories and still doing it every day has definitely been life-changing for me. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I was like really ambivalent about it at first, like admittedly, because being on this side of things, like you said, like the majority of people in recovery have attempted to get sober before or have been sober-ish. Like, it's not, that seed has been there for a while, right? So I have always prided myself on being this open-minded person, but when he joined Reframe, I was like, so you're just finding ways not to be accountable is what it is. You're just
not go to a meeting.
You're finding the easy way to not go to a meeting so that you can sit in your office and like flip through your phone and be like, I'm on a meeting, And that's exactly what I thought of it. And I was happily proven wrong. And we've talked about this before, like the first year that he was on Reframe and getting sober, I joke and say I wasn't nice to him, which is not true. I didn't believe any of it. And I was blown away. I mean, honestly, because I was of that mentality of You need to be there in person. And some of this is true, but Reframe prompts you to do these things. Like, you need to get up, you need to get in your car, you need to drive there, you need to be there in person and do the things, right?
Yeah.
Which is true. You need to do the things, but it doesn't have to be a meeting. And so it really opened my mind up to, sobriety, recovery, anything under the mental health umbrella. It is an individual journey. I always say the base ingredients of the cake are all the same, but it's what you add to it that makes it really flavorful and makes it yours. And so I was blown away by Reframe. I mean, and I was like welcomed into the community too. Like, some of your Reframe friends love me more than you.
Yes, that's very true.
I joke about it, but I'm forever grateful for you and for your Reframe community, because no matter what, I'll never understand what it feels like to struggle with drinking or any addiction. I have my own mental health stuff, but I won't understand that. So there are certain things. It's like, I love you. It's not that I don't want to talk to you, talking about me, about these things. It's just, I need someone who really empathizes and feels it. And a lot of people don't have that, or they don't think it exists outside of a church meeting. So, I mean, especially you, Kevin, and Reframe has been a lifesaver.
And I wish I had Reframe back then. And I often wonder, I'm like, if Reframe was around, how much would I have jumped in? Let's say, because it would have been in my feed for sure. And it would have popped up. And I wonder how much, because I'm not, so I'm a former accountant, right, for 21 years ish. And I made the shift from accounting over to coaching. Actually, this weekend was my 4-year anniversary full time at Reframe. Coming up on about 5 years coaching there. And, whenever I started out on my own journey, as we call it, I was torn, and so for so many reasons why, okay, I know I need to do something. I need to cut back. I need to get this under control. But I don't know anybody in AA. It's the only thing I know about. And I was always like, there's AA and there's keep drinking. I'm like, I guess I'm just going to keep drinking. This is it. 'Cause I'm not going to go there. And I tried. I did I didn't try. Let me stop there. I did not go to a meeting. I did not try to go to a meeting, but I researched the hell out of it and, read through the steps and read people's thoughts on them. And I just couldn't get my head wrapped around the steps. And that was a big barrier for me mentally. I know I feel like if I would have if I had a friend who I knew went to this same meeting every day, week, whatever, and I could have tagged along, I probably would have, and I'd probably be in a meeting now, maybe, I don't know, sharing, I don't know. But I just didn't know anybody, and I didn't know, and it didn't click with me. And I'm like, well, it's not like I'm never going to give up alcohol, or I'm sorry, it's not like I'm never going to drink again. I just need to get this under control. Right. I wasn't ready to go full abstinence and things like that. And that's all I knew. That's what I thought it was, and that's what it is. And so I'm lazy. So if I have to go to a therapist's office once a week, once a month, that's going to last a little bit of time. If I have to go to a meeting every day, and that's what I was reading and all that stuff, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to, I got work, I got other shit to do, and I'm lazy. So I needed something easy. And that's where I ended up with BetterHelp. Right. But even that, it took me and my therapist, who we're not on BetterHelp anymore, but it's to this day, I'm still meeting with her on a regular basis, because that's one of my guardrails. That's one of the things that keep me, on track. At least it's a good check-in, right? Checkpoint to have. But even that, it took my quote unquote rock bottom, which wasn't movie worthy or anything like that.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually want to talk about what led you to change that, your relationship with alcohol before you met your therapist and your rock bottom. what was it that you were obviously questioning? That you had an issue with drinking. What, how did all that change for you?
Yeah. And the full story, I'll kind of abridge right to the point of 2019 of January that year. But, I didn't really drink until college. I had, a few times I would have drank in high school or whatever. That just wasn't our thing. My friends and I, like, that wasn't our thing. But I went to college and, left to my own devices, and I was playing football, and I was in a fraternity, and it was just binge drinking, right? It was all the, little freedom. And so that's when, I was binge drinking. I was a biology major. Halfway through, I stopped playing football and changed my major to accounting after 2 years. And because I had to focus on that.
That's such a leap.
It's a good shift.
Like, I'm going to play football and be in a fraternity and be like, guys, I think I want to be an accountant.
That's right.
That's such a leap.
I didn't want to be an accountant. I just knew that organic chemistry was kicking my ass. And
I had to switch.
Fair.
Yeah. That's the class that you always hear that weeds out people. Yeah, I was weeded out. And because I was looking at physical therapy and stuff like that. And that was what my thought was. But and that's a whole separate thing with ADHD that I learned about 3 years. Well, I learned about probably 6 years ago, 7 years ago, that I probably had it. Got officially diagnosed 3 years ago. And then I went play the what if game. But it's not a good game to play ever. But yeah, and it was, so I graduated accounting, went to work at a public accounting firm, and it was kind of like more of the same type of drinking. I felt it was very deadline driven, work a ton, happy hours, binge drink on the weekends. Oh, we have April 15th, tax day. I don't remember. April 16th, probably my first 3 years, I called my buddy and be like, do we still have jobs today? What did we do last night? What do we, I remember trying to walk home from downtown, which is like 20 miles away. It was just not the best thing, but it was just more the same. And got married graduated in 2001, married in 2003. We've been together since high school. And daughter was born in 2007. And in that year, I was about 6 years in public accounting. I kind of died down a little bit. And, whenever I got married, and it was more just social with friends and that on the weekends, but I still did all the parties for work and all of that. And then 2007, daughter's born, bought our first house. I switched to a corporate accounting group, company, or I'm sorry, I switched to a company in their corporate tax department. And, it kind of settled a little. Like, I was busy with other stuff and, with newborn and all of that. And it was fine for a while. I ran a marathon slowly, painfully in 2010, and kind of kept just going. But, after a while, it was like in my 30s, it was, I come home from work, I'll have a beer to de-stress. I was still, don't get me wrong, I had no off switch. Whenever we got together, on the weekends or, for an event partying, I was drunk, blacked out a lot. It got to that level. I mean, I never did anything that would, I'll say it this way. I never did anything that would cause my wife to say, stop it, you're done. Mm-hmm. Like, I skated that line just well enough to not get there most of the time. But, and then in like 2015, then I kind of consider that like there's I don't know if market shift is the right economic term, but like my drinking was like creeping upward. The binge drinking was always there, but everything was slowly creeping upward. And then there is this shift up in 2015 that I started a new level of drinking. And that was because we had a big corporate restructuring, corporate project that the whole, it was impacting the whole company, and it was tax driven. And so I was at the forefront with my boss and, our group working on this, and it led to just working all the time. Like 2015 was work, drink, and sleep some. And that was it. And the drinking came at the end of the day. I might have still been working on some mundane stuff here and then stopped. And I'm like, it's my time now, and I'm going to keep drinking to relax and watch some TV and do that. And but it was worth it. I have my little award over there for Accountant of the Year in 2016 for the work I did that year for the company. And I look at that as almost like the reason why I'm here today talking to you, because that set that new level. And not to say that it was the cause of it. I mean, I feel like if it wasn't then, it would have been something else that would have driven me that way based on how I drank and where I was headed. But then 2015 ended, and it was now 2016. We have to implement all of these changes. And 2017, our company's looking at getting bought. You have to do some work on this. 2018, our company was sold. And that in 2018 was really the year that I started thinking about like, okay, I really need to do something about this. And that was driven a lot because through work, they made us do blood work, or else you had to do your biometric screening. Otherwise, you were going to get maybe $100, maybe $100 or $200 a month surcharge on your insurance if you didn't do it. And so I went and did it. Liver enzymes were elevated, and doctor's like, cut back a little bit on drinking and do this and do that, and then come back in a few weeks or months. Can't remember how long it was, and we'll retest it. And so weeks and months passed, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta take that blood work in 2 days. I should stop drinking. So I just didn't drink for like the day before.
Like that's going to help.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll do it.
And it was just a little bit lower than it was the first time. And he's like, all right, let's get an ultrasound. And it turned out, I had a fatty liver. I think that was in August that I got the ultrasound of 2018. And I was kind of like, no shit. I woke up some mornings after drinking too much. I'm like, my side hurts here. I'm like, something's wrong. And I say that you would have thought the cure for a fatty liver was alcohol because I drank more. Because what does one do when you're stressed and overwhelmed and don't know what to do about something? You go to the tools that work, alcohol, or the tools that you have. It doesn't work. But it did work, right? At a certain point. And then it was, I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? All to myself, not talking to anybody about it. Listen to some podcast it was September 30th. And they're talking about Sober October. And I'm like, I'll do that. That's it. I'll just do Sober October. It'll be all fixed then. I think I made it 4 days, 5 days, whatever the Friday was in October of 2018, that first Friday, because October 15th was a big deadline for us. And we were like, okay, 4th or 5th, I'm drinking. And I'm like, well, October's over. I'll start again in November. But the ball, because obviously if it's not perfect, it goes back to my all or nothing comment earlier. If it's not perfect, if I didn't check all the boxes, I might as well not check any.
Yeah, throw it out.
But I kept like looking for books, looking for, information, researching stuff about what should I try. And I went to the doctor again in December and kind of half-heartedly was like, hey, do you have any medication that I can take? And I heard about this or that. He's like, oh, you don't need that. Just do, and it kind of, not that he was dismissive. It was just, I think I was like very timid in asking because I didn't know how to ask or what to ask for or anything like that. Nowadays I would just go in ChatGPT and be like, what should I tell my doctor if I want to ask him about this? And then I would just go in and read that. That was me last week working on a plumbing issue. I'm like, what do I tell the plumber whenever I do this? That's right. But so it was kind of like just another thing that I tried and didn't really try to figure out. But my blood pressure was high, my cholesterol was high, my weight was high, my, obviously fatty liver, all the things were just in the wrong direction. And in January 2019, I remember I was listening to, I don't necessarily recommend this book, but it was Recovery by Russell Brand, I think. And and I just say I don't recommend it because I got one line out of it, and because he reframes, so to use that word, the 12 steps in a way that makes sense to him. And I was like, let's see if his way clicks for me. But he said one thing in there, and I don't remember what step he was talking about, but he said, "Are you on your own going to unfuck yourself?" I remember driving to work, listening to the book, and I paused and just sat about and thought about that for the rest of the ride. I was like, no, I'm not even trying to do that for ever. And it obviously doesn't work. And so what else? And I started looking, and I was looking at like therapy and that, and I knew BetterHelp was out there, but it was a random Tuesday that made me actually sign up for that drunk. I was down after working. It was Tuesday. We were doing year end. We were really busy. And I remember Monday coming home, and on my way home, I stopped and picked up a bottle of whiskey, and I drank probably about half of it that night. Tuesday, I came home, and I'm like, okay, I'm got to work still, but I'm not going to, I don't want to touch that because I know if I start drinking that, I'll finish the other half. And so I poured myself a glass of wine, and I never opened a bottle of wine that I didn't finish. And so I drank through that, and guess what I started on? The whiskey. And after that bottle of wine, I drank the other half plus of that bottle of whiskey. And I remember when I finally poured that last bit, and I walked over to the couch, and I just broke down, and I, was just crying, and because that was the straw, right? It was like, okay, that was you've done this before, you've drank this much before, but that was the thing that you crossed that line where you said like, oh, I'm not doing this. And again, you did it, and you did it in pretty good fashion there. And so drunkenly sitting there signing up on BetterHelp at midnight or so that night, which, it was funny this year, my therapist and I were like, happy anniversary. And I signed up for it then. And then that was a Tuesday night. I think Friday I was sitting right here. This desk was over there. My wife was sitting there, and I was sitting right here with, I already had a few drinks, and I had a little liquid courage in me. And I just said to her, I'm like, hey, what would you say if I got a therapist to help me, address like how alcohol is showing up? I don't know how exactly I said it, because I was she was talking for like 20 or 30 minutes. I didn't hear a word she said, because I was just thinking of how am I going to say this?
What am I going to say?
Yeah. And she's like, and she was supportive and all that. And I think the next day I took a break. I took 60 days off because I was motivated. I was itching to do something forever. And I was like, oh, finally, I told her I have this support. But I made it 60 days because the whole time I was motivated, but I was like, when can I drink again? When can I drink again? When am I going to be fixed? Should I go when I'm in San Antonio for work? What about at the end of April for a vacation that we're doing? So I annoyed the hell out of her, I'm sure, in that beginning part. But that's kind of what started the ball rolling to figuring it out. And I didn't know what I was going to be doing long term. I didn't have this thing of like, oh, I have to stop. I can never drink again, all this stuff. Knowing how I am, like I said, the all or nothing, or just that type of personality where I knew moderating would be difficult. But I thought, oh, she's going to give me these tools, right? And then so I tried to moderate. And I think the first day I was in San Antonio for a work thing. And the first day I was like, all right, I'm not going to drink at happy hour. We're going to go to dinner. I'm going to have one drink, go back to the hotel, have nothing. And that's it. And I did. The next day I was like, same thing. Nothing at happy hour. We're going out. Our accountants are taking us and other clients out to somewhere. And I'm going to have 2, maybe 3 drinks. That's it. And I walked in and they had a whiskey tasting. And I walked in with my boss and he knew what I was kind of cutting back or doing something. I just remember going like, oh, fuck me. Because and then I just threw up my hands. I was like, nope, can't do it.
Yeah.
That's too heavy for me to lift right now. And I just gave in, and, I drank a little bit less than I would have otherwise, but yeah, I mean, that was, it was fine. It was just, I wasn't prepared to only have 2 or 3 there. I didn't have enough tools or support available yet. But then I that went on another few weeks of months of figuring it out. Like I would work on moderation. This week I'm going to do this. And sometimes I would be successful. Some weeks I would be successful. But most of the time it was like there was a slip somewhere there, or I said I wasn't going to drink this week and I ended up drinking for some reason, and just the back and forth. And then at the end of that April, we were going on vacation, and I was going to moderate. And this was it. The great moderation vacation of 2019, I call it. And I did, except for 2 days. When it was the Monday, we went out for happy hour, us and some of the people we went with. The kids were back there. Someone was watching them and at the place. And that happy hour turned into 3 hours, which led into dinner. And it was fine. But it was, again, just another quote unquote failure of not sticking to what my plan was. And then on that Friday, it was the last day. I was like, screw it, I'm just drinking. And I'm like, and during that week though, that's kind of when I came up with, I asked myself this question, maybe not so eloquently as I kind of say it now, but it was, why are you trying so hard to keep this in your life? Like that's the thing that hit me that week. And so that week I was like, okay, Monday, because you got to start things on Mondays. It's the only proper time. It's the only proper time to start things. No, I've tried to get away from that too. But I'm like, Monday, you're going to do, that's what you're going to start again. And my goal was 61 days. So 1 day more than I did earlier that year. And of course, get home on Sunday, I think, and we drove down to Florida. Because when you're in the Midwest, that's just what you do. You drive everywhere. And we, all the alcohol I brought back, I'm like, well, I gotta finish all this up. And so I drank a lot that night, passed out during Game of Thrones, one of the best episodes of Game of Thrones, which every April 28th I watch. I watched the ending. It's a long episode, and I watched the ending.
We've seen all of Game of Thrones. We're fans. It's
the Night King episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I was actually going to wear I have an Arya shirt where she's like Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Like the jump man. Yeah, with the dagger. And that's what this spot is saved for. Nice. Potentially on my arm for that tattoo that I've thought about for years about getting. But I woke up the next day and I was like, ugh, I don't think I'm going to make it to the weekend. And I have to watch Game of Thrones again because my wife was saying it was the best episode.
It was a good one.
Slept right through it.
Yeah. And then as a couple of days went by, I was like, all right, you're feeling a little bit better. Okay, you can make it till the weekend. Like, all right, let's focus on this 61 day thing or whatever and see where we go. And, I kept just pushing it out. And, I got close to 61 days and I started looking at 90, and I was looking for those markers, smile markers. Along the way, not knowing where it was going to go or lead to, working with my therapist the whole time, it wasn't until that fall that I started, eating a little bit better. Cause that was one of the things too, early on, I was like, just one thing, like just don't drink, or, if I was working on moderation, like focus on that, but that's your focus is whatever you're doing with alcohol. Because I'm one that will, if you haven't figured that out yet, like, oh, I'm not going to drink. Well, it's perfect time to go paleo and be strict and go, work out every day and do this and that. And then once one of those things falls, then they all fall. So I was like, just don't drink. I don't care if you eat, one of my tools early on. some kind of candy, Swedish Fish, Sour Patch Kids, The Office. Like, I don't care if you have to eat, Swedish Fish and watch The Office tonight because you're struggling and that's what you don't have the energy to do anything else. Do it. Like, eventually you'll figure that out. And that was it. Like, in September, I started focusing a little bit more on my diet. I started feeling a little bit better, dropping a little bit more weight. And then October, I was like, maybe I'll start working out again, and started looking into that. And at the end of the year, I was like, I'll run a half marathon maybe. And I signed up for the Cleveland half in the following May. And then kept going, and then COVID happened. And, so, if COVID happened a year earlier, or if I waited a year later, I wouldn't. Who knows? I'd be drinking still today, probably, because that would have been just perfect situation for me and alcohol.
Yeah, because that's when it really ramped up for a lot of people. I know mine ramped up tremendously through there. Yeah, and hell, you basically just white knuckled it through the whole damn thing. With the exception of you had a therapist, but you really white knuckled through all that. That's damn impressive.
White knuckle through what?
Through COVID.
Oh, no. So COVID happened in March of that year. I was about 10, 11 months alcohol free at that time. And I was doing I started Instagram in August of 2019. So before COVID, and I by the time COVID rolled around, I was starting to.
And that was when Reframe came about too, right?
In 2020. Yeah.
In 2020.
A couple months after COVID started. Yeah. And I devoured, Quit Lit, that first year. To the point where I don't think I've read a Quit Lit book. I know I have. I'd have to look back at which ones, but since then, because I got to 11 months, and I just kind of stopped. I finished a book, and I'm like, I can't listen to another one of these. And then I think I binged like The Stand by Stephen King, which is like a 50-hour book, and then I went through all his Dark Tower series books, and so I just went on the pendulum swung the other way, and I went all in on something else, just because I got so burnt out on listening to the same thing over and over again, which was so helpful. I needed that I considered that my meetings, because I didn't have Reframe. I didn't go to AA.
Right.
I met with a therapist, but I was getting tools from her, and I was getting tools from these books, like listening to them and implementing them, and just kind of hearing what people had to say, and realizing, kind of like what you mentioned earlier, like, oh, well, these people are talking, they're saying a lot of the same things I'm thinking or I'm feeling. And, the person could have been obviously night and day different from who I am, but I still, in people's words, I heard my thoughts. And that was very helpful for me, the podcasts and audiobooks and all that. Cause I worked downtown here in Cleveland, and I would commute, and the morning and the evening commutes were always audiobooks and podcasts and that. So that was where I got a lot of ideas too on things to do and things to try, and what, tools that helped.
So many things that you said, I'm sitting here I'm like, Kevin's brain is like a perfect mashup of ours.
Yeah.
Like, your brain is our child. So the all or nothing, right? You definitely have a lot of that, Ryan, when it comes to the addictive personality and all of those things. But with mine, so I'm OCD, I'm ADHD, I have generalized anxiety disorder, I have binge eating disorder, all of those things. So what kept popping into my head when you would say all or nothing is one of the things that a lot of therapists and a lot of people recommend is you should get a coloring book or a puzzle, because doing things with your hands. And I do enjoy doing things with my hands, but I fucking despise coloring books and puzzles because the idea that I can't just finish it is horrible. I'm because I'll see all the pieces, And if I get the first 2 figured out, I cannot walk away from it. Like, I can't count how many times Ryan's gotten up at 2 a.m. and been like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, I'm almost done. And he's like, you were done 3 hours ago. I'm like, no. I mean, I think one time he literally woke up and I was still like scrubbing the tile in our bathroom. And he's like, just do the rest tomorrow. I was like, are you fucking crazy? Like, what are you talking about? That's not a thing that happens. And so I find myself doing that, right? Like, I won't start things because you think your way all the way to the end. College was difficult for me for that reason, like not academically. It wasn't like the work. It was like, it's 4 years and I'm getting there and everything you have to do and all the hurdles. Like, it's not that it's difficult. It's that I think my way out of it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I totally understand that. And it's the same thing. Like, exercise has been a big struggle for me. It's not the act of exercising. Like, everybody knows exercise is hard, like physically, but the act of getting up and actually exercising is not difficult, right? Because exercise is subjective. You can walk on a treadmill, you can lift weights, like you can do yoga. Like, it doesn't have to be anything other than what you need it to be. So I'll get on these kicks, even before you got sober, where I would get on the treadmill every day. But then we go on vacation, or, something happens, like my mom passed away or something like that. And I'm like, I'm going to give myself a day of grace. And then 6 months later,
the day turns into months.
Right. And I'm sitting, but then you beat yourself up. Like, I need to get up and I need to exercise. And this is real. Like, the puzzles and the exercise are just 2 examples of about a billion things that I've done this with. And I'm like, I need to get up and exercise. But it's also with ADHD, whether it's some external force or something in your head, when somebody or something tells me I need to do something, now I am physically unable to do it. Right?
Yep.
Like, he will tell me, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? And I'm like, every single time you ask me that question, it's like the guy with the curling. It's just erasing every urge that I have.
Every time you say that, I add a week.
It's
right,
gone.
right. And so, I mean, I just kept thinking that when you would bring that up, because though I don't necessarily, I don't seem like I don't have a competitive nature. I'm not going to say I don't have an addictive personality, because even though my things aren't tethered to a tangible substance, I call myself a habitual monogamous. Like, I have seen the same girl who does my hair since before Lily was born. I had the same girl who does my nails. Yep. People are like, what's the key to a lasting marriage? I'm like, well, other than loving someone and trying, like, I'm a one and done kind of gal. Like, it's just, I am a habitual monogamous. I tether myself to the things. The idea of doing something, it's not doing something new, but the idea of trusting something new is terrifying, right? And so the small things about just getting up, how do you find that you break through that? Because you have someone like Ryan who's all or nothing, in the sense that when he has his mindset to something, he's like all in like that moment. But then you have someone like me where I can be all in on something, but just breaking that cycle of like, I have to do this. Now I physically can't, but you have to, but you don't understand. My brain won't let me. Like, what do you do to help that interim?
Yeah, that's because I'm
all pressure.
I'm all in. And then I'm like, shit. Case in point, my wife and daughter left early yesterday morning, like 3 or 4 o'clock. And they're coming back late tonight. And we have this closet that is just, everything is just shoved in there.
We have one of those too.
Yesterday, I ordered a couple things from Amazon, came this morning to organize. And I pulled everything out last night. And as I pulled everything out and I was sitting there amongst all of the shit, I was like, oh, why did you do this?
You're like, you're not the same person anymore.
I know. And so I got to finish that tonight.
Yeah.
I have time. She's not getting in until late.
It's fucking terrible too, because like people will be like, but you do these things and you're so good at them and you create like, oh my gosh, when you do this, you're so good. And you're like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And I'll do it when I'm ready, not when you're
damn well ready.
Yeah.
Which may be in 5 years, okay?
Yeah, and that's why, I like my Legos here, because they're not a puzzle. It is, I'm doing something active with my hands. I'm following directions. There's some satisfaction with doing that and having that result at the end. Versus puzzles. And I do have a swear word coloring book that I do like, but I couldn't tell you the last time I colored in that. Because it was the same thing. Like I would start it and I'd be like, well, I want to finish the picture, but it just takes so long. And
listen, the worst words I've ever heard from my therapist when I talked about this is he's like, okay, so there's not like any real trick to this.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to put it down. I said, what do you mean? He's like, you just put it down. You set a timer and you do what you can. And when the timer goes off, no matter what you're doing, you put it down. And I was like, I hate you. That's not a thing. Like I was like, I'm getting uncomfortable right now just thinking about it. He's like, right. You have to desensitize yourself to the discomfort. Like showering. I'm an all or nothing shower, because I asked him, I'm like, how many steps is a shower? And he's like, it's one. I shower. I'm like, a shower for me is 127 steps, And so it's like, it starts with, walking to the shower. That's step one, and it's getting over those hurdles are so difficult, and just doing the thing and just breaking through that barrier can be really hard.
Yeah. And there's definitely not one thing, because we're all different. And I feel a lot of times like there are things I can get myself to do, and there are things that I'm exactly that way, especially showers was one of them more recently. And it's just like, if I had a 10 a.m. journaling meeting, you bet your ass I'm sending Cody the link to the document that I just finished for the meeting at about 9:42 and said, I'll be there in a second. I got to go shower. And I got to go get ready. And so 9:45 before the meeting, I am doing the shower. I am getting ready for the meeting. I'm done. Now I've gotten away from that. I have to think about how I exactly did that, but I've gotten better at just showering in the morning.
We're twins. Ryan will be like, I cannot handle the stress of you doing these things at the last minute.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because I can't tell you how many times we come up here to the podcast and I'm like, I don't like those lights. Hold on. And he's like, we have 5 minutes. I'm like, it'll take 30 seconds. He's like, we have 5 minutes. I'm like, don't worry about it. Why didn't you do it yesterday?
Yeah.
I wasn't that same person yesterday. Same exact thing.
Yeah.
Our daughter will be like, Mom, like, you're still in the shower. We have to leave in 15 minutes. I'm like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm like, I always budget about 5 minutes. I undershoot by like 5 minutes all the time. Whenever it's like, my wife's like, okay, we're leaving at 2. Okay. I'm like 1:45, 1:40. I'll get in there, and it's like 2:05 we leave. Like,
right.
But my daughter is ADHD too. She's worse than me because I am the creature of habit that I know I have the same, I have the same 4 pairs of joggers in different colors. I have the same, like if I find a t-shirt that I like, I buy like a bunch of them, and I will just, so I know exactly what I'm doing. My shit is like figured out. And so I'm pretty good at it. Whereas somebody like my daughter who's like, I don't know what I want to wear. This doesn't fit right. Is this okay? What are you wearing? All this stuff. And I'm like, look, we got to go. Like, you should have figured this out beforehand. If you're going to be late, you have to figure that out beforehand at least.
And that's a whole other like sensory thing too. Cause I'm that same way. Like I'll find like shoes. I tell people don't buy me shoes because I have to put them on. I have to feel them. But then when I love them, I have like the same pair of shoes. Yep. He's like, how you have like 3 pair of the exact same shoes. I'm like, right. But those are getting dirty, but I love the way they fit and they're comfy. And those can be like, if it's raining or something, I don't have to worry about it. But then I want this new pair because I like the way those look at my pants and they're nice and clean and they go with this. And he's like, I cannot follow.
Throw shit on and go. with the exception of the shirt thing. I find a shirt I like or pants or shorts, and I'll buy all of them.
Yeah.
Because I just they're my go-to, and it's one less thing I got to think about every single morning. Same way with my suits. Same thing.
It's so crazy the way your brain, like you do all of these mental gymnastics, and I'll sit there sometimes and I laugh at myself, but then other times, like, it's debilitating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're the same way though with certain things, Ryan, because like you've injured yourself, you're having hip issues and you cannot let go of the workout stuff, right? Like it manifests differently for people, but it roots from that same fear, I guess, of failure or detachment. And I'm sure it's different for other people, but it's all, I guess, us trying to control that space and that narrative when you simply cannot, right? It's impossible.
Yeah. And and I've been talking about this a lot lately. I feel like there's so much that's out of our control that
everything
we think is in our control. The fact that I don't have an Alexa in here, but the fact that I can say it, like if that door was open, I could just be like, Alexa, turn on my fan, and my fan turns on here, or, lights in our house and stuff like that. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I wrote about that in my kind of summary of all the habit related books that we've done over the years in the book club. Is that so much is out of our control. And I said, like, that kind of stuff contributes to thinking that we have control over our environment and control
instant
over everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm in that meeting, that same book club meeting 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago on a Saturday morning, and our basement floods and leaks. And it's like, oh shit, everything I thought I was going to do today. My daughter had a dance, like we were going out with other parents. Like, guess I'm just doing this today. But there's so much that's out of our control, and and we get so bent out of shape about that. Bent out of shape might be too nice of a word sometimes for how we actually feel about it, but it's what can we control? I think is the most important thing, and sometimes usually probably the toughest thing to figure out. And then once we do figure it out, then it's like, okay, now that I know what I can control, shit, I have to do it now.
Yeah.
And so it's like starting small for me is, I know every habit book talks about this, and but they talk about it for a reason, right? Because we try and I like the whole weight room type metaphor where, if I walk into a gym and I don't know, I haven't been to the gym in a while, and I have back issues that I've been dealing with. And, but let's say I could go in and there's a 150-pound bar there. I could deadlift it or push it or pull it or, do something with that amount of weight. But then I walk in, there's a 300-pound bar there, and I can move it a little bit, maybe budget, but I'm not like lifting it without harming myself. And I feel like we just try and go in and do the 300-pound weight right away, and instead of working up to that. And that's I think a big deal with like how we beat ourselves up for like, why can't I get this? Why can't I figure this out? And sometimes we might just be trying to do things that are, not meeting ourselves where we're at that moment. We force ourselves to go to an event or to do something because we think we have to. I think COVID taught me that there's anything that I don't know how I want to say that, but basically at any point in time there could be this event that I couldn't miss, but then I'm sick or whatever, and it happens to a lot of people, right? And there's been things that I've missed because of being sick. If I got COVID once or twice, it's just out of our control, right? And so that thing that I thought was so important that I had to be at, I missed. And guess what? They'll invite me again next year. They'll invite me again next month. Still, I didn't miss it, and that's the end of the world, and everything falls apart. It's that no, it's I can do that for myself if I don't feel ready. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the all or nothing?
What's like societal pressure, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of with drinking and substance abuse too, And this is just my interpretation. Okay. Which means this brain means nothing. Okay. It means gibberish. But, I think the hardest part that I've observed is you want to moderate because, like you said, that's that 300-pound weight, because you get down on yourself because you're like, why can I not fucking do this thing?
Yeah.
Like, why? I shouldn't have to just give this completely up. I shouldn't have to just not do something. I should be able to go.
20 years ago.
Right. I did it 20 years ago, or I did it last week. Why can I not go to dinner and have a glass of wine and come home and take a shower and go to bed? It's the simplest thing in the world. And it's just that refusal to admit that, because you can't. I mean, and I know that's not the answer that anyone is looking for, but at the end of the day, it's because you can't.
It's the truth, yeah.
And that sucks. And you're allowed to be upset about that. And you're allowed to be disappointed in that. But it's not your fault that you can't. Yeah. It's your fault that you refuse to admit that you can't. The refusal to actually sit with that feeling without numbing it out. And also, this is to kind of bring it full circle, something that I love about Reframe that I said earlier about the neuroscience, because I'm someone too that when I don't know what to do, I just research
the hell out of it.
Oh yeah. He's like, I'm like, I could tell you who your third cousin twice removed was. But I'm like, if I don't know what to do, then I'm just going to arm myself with information. I'm going to just research it until something fucking makes sense, right? Yeah. Because if I have a math mind, if I can make 2 + 2 = 4, okay, I have something to work with. So with the science behind it, I think something that's really fucking terrifying is we don't really know what causes addiction as a whole. We know things that contribute. We know the nature versus nurture. We know there are genetic and hereditary components. We do know certain things, but we don't really know why.
No.
You can moderate and drink and be fine and live to 100, and why you can't seem to stop. And for me, with anything, that's very unsettling. And I think it is for most people, right? Yeah. Because again, it's a control thing. But if I know the why, if I know, again, like math, here's my answer. Here's my conclusion. So all I have to do is figure out the pathway to get there.
Yep.
But the trickiest part about anything mental health related is there's not a conclusion.
That's right.
Like if you're working a program or you're going to meetings or you're doing anything where you're like, I'm trying to reach the state of nirvana. Do you know what nirvana is? Nirvana is realizing that it's ongoing. It is forever, and it's going to evolve and change.
Today.
And it's right now, and it's how you're feeling today. The trick is there's no trick. That some days it just really fucking sucks. And then some days it's really fucking easy.
Yeah.
And so for me, I've learned to accept and be comforted by the fact that a lot of the stuff we just don't know why. We just don't know. But we do know things that can make it worse. We do know things that are beyond your control, but we also have tools and resources and communities and stuff that you can use that are going to increase your chances of, this is a horrible way to put it, but being your best self, which again is an overused phrase, but for a reason. And being your best self doesn't mean a positive or negative thing, right? It doesn't mean like happy-go-lucky, whatever. Yeah. It simply means just being able to sit with whatever version of yourself you are today and just accepting that for what it is, right?
Yeah. And that's that there's a quote that he uses in the book Inner Excellence, where he talks about the best, and I can't remember who said the quote, but it was like the best, your best, or your best, I think, like right now. And I think that's so important to look at, because the best is like, and it's a somebody in sports talking about it, like the best is like, okay, I'm not going to be the best at this, but even like your best is, what the hell is my best? Like, if I feel like I'm at my best, then guess what? If I'm there and I've been doing something and I got there, well, then I can probably grow. I probably will also say I can get better. So what is that even?
Mm-hmm.
But I love how you said, just meet yourself where you are that day. And, you know, if I wake up and my quote unquote battery, my level of where I'm going to be that day is at 40%, then if I give 40% that day, then that's my best.
Right.
That's your 100%.
And I think that's what we have to realize is we put everything is so like polarizing.
Mhm.
Like best doesn't have to be positive or negative. Just like the word good or nice or sweet, you know, these are like words that we use every single day that are supposed to represent something. And they're fine, but they're filler phrases, right?
Yeah.
Because your best today is wherever you are today. Don't compare it to yesterday's best or last
Sure as
year's
hell,
best.
Yeah, don't compare it to tomorrow.
Because that's all we're really doing is competing with ourselves, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and even in social media, you know, and this is a whole nother conversation, but it most certainly plays into it. You get these celebrities or artists who were like, you know, they throw up a picture of them at like 19 and I'm like, give me a fucking break, man. Like, what are we doing here? But but little things like that bleed over into people's subconscious and make you get down on yourself. Why could I do this once upon a time and can't do it now? Or why can this person do it and I can't do it now? It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't, the why doesn't matter.
Comparison is the thief of joy, right? It's so true. Whether it's comparison with yourself or comparison with somebody else. And I say this on meetings too, when someone says it, it's like, I love and hate this when someone comes on and be like, I've been on Reframe for 60 days and I'm 59 days alcohol free right now. And I'm like, that is awesome. And I'm like, damn it. Because I know every single person in this meeting is like, why can't I do that? Why didn't it work for me? And not every single person, but you know what I mean? Like we hear these things and we think like, oh, it just clicked for them and it worked. And I'm like, no, you don't know what they were doing before this.
Exactly.
You don't know how much work they put in or didn't put in before they started. You don't know, you know, what difficult time you're going through, or, you know, I've had easy years. I've had, the first year alcohol free was obviously difficult, to get through. It was like the longest year of my adult life because I was present for it all. And, and then it was funny because like every year I hit, it was like, oh, that second year is the worst year. It's the most difficult year ever. And then I get done with the second year and someone was like, oh, year 3 was the toughest for me. And I'd be sitting there going into it. I'm like, damn it, when's it going to get easier? And they weren't that bad. They were just different. Right. I would say year 6 was probably, you know, the one of the toughest for me because, you know, I think you shared this in the beginning, but the content warning for parental death, I'll throw that out. But yeah, my mom found out last year, on I think January 4th, that she had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Never had, besides her restless leg syndrome, she never had anything. She had her gallbladder out the year before. She's never had anything wrong with her. And 57 days later, she passed. And yeah, and I sat there, you know, I remember that night, you know, I was there with 2 of my brothers and my dad, and you know, we were looking through pictures and we were crying and, you know, laughing and joking and just remembering things. And you know, at one point I was the only one in the room and their drinks were all around. And I remember looking at my one brother's drink and not like, oh, I'm going to grab that and drink it. But I felt like, I call it like gravity. I felt like a pull towards it at least. And usually I just observe that kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, what is that? Obviously early on, I would have been like, get the hell out of here, eject, you know, move. But you know, it wasn't like I was wanted to drink it or anything, but I played that what if game. I'm like, what if I was 10 months alcohol free right now? I would have drank for sure. What if I was a year and 10 months? Maybe, probably 2 years, you know? And so I kind of play that game of at what point, but I do think context is so important with a lot of that stuff too, that we have to acknowledge when things are tough and we can't just keep pushing through and just checking off all the boxes. And that's where, meeting ourselves where we are. Like with the workouts, like you said that you're, injured and you're still pushing through something, you have to scale it back a little bit or adjust if you want to keep doing it, instead of being like, well, I always did this before. It's like, no, I have new information now. There's a new context here. And that could be anything. It could be a huge life event. It could just be, I'm just something going on with the kids or with work or whatever. And, any of that can make it more difficult. But we're not all starting from the same point either. So comparison is
it's
such
stupid.
a tough thing. Yeah.
And even like you said, even comparing yourself to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like,
even just a year ago or whatever. Yeah.
Well, and even if
like
you're
such
not,
person.
even if you're not in this community, like I'm like, life is fucking hard. Okay.
Yeah.
To be a human being and be born and walk through life is hard, even when you don't have addiction or anything else. Okay. So first and foremost, like, give yourself some fucking grace. Yeah. Okay. Because life is scary. And secondly, the only guaranteed thing in life is that shit is going to happen. For some people, it happens sooner or later. For some people, it's more aggressive or whatever it is. But the thing that is guaranteed is that bad shit's going to happen. Right?
This too shall pass.
And and that's sort of what connects everything together, honestly. And there are things that happen that change you forever. Again, I don't mean this in like a, esoteric way, but when I say change, it, changes your perspective on things. You have people who are coming on Reframe meetings who are talking and you don't know the things that have happened to them that affect the way that they perceive a situation or what they're in, and I'm sure you can attest to this, Kevin. Losing my mom 100% changed permanently the way that I process certain emotions and perceive certain things in the world. I found myself having a really difficult time because I'm normally a very, very sympathetic person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I worked in nonprofit healthcare. That's part of who I am fundamentally. And I love that space, like this space of community. And after my mom passed, surprisingly, I found myself getting very irritated when people would complain about what I perceived as mundane things. And I would never say it, but I'd just be like, oh my God, like you hate your job. That's the worst thing that happened to you today. Like whatever, give me a break. And that's so not fair. Like who am I? Just because I went through something that I perceive as terrible doesn't minimize what anybody else is doing. And I think that's something else to remember. And it goes back to that 59 days. If you're 1 day sober, that is just as fucking badass as being 1,000 days sober. Okay. Yep. And it deserves to be celebrated the same. And I think that when you give yourself allowance to, I'm going to celebrate every fucking win I have, because it's hard to have the wins. It's hard to have the A's when you feel like you've only had the F's, right? Like for me, it's like when someone compliments you, they're like, oh my God, I love your shirt. I'm like, oh, I got it at Goodwill. Like I paid $3 for it. Like it's nothing. It's do you want it? Here, I'll take it off. You can have it. And it's that discomfort. And it comes from that same place. So what you said is so true. Like we have a tendency to share the best parts of ourselves, especially when we know a lot of people are watching, and that's okay. So it's important for people to understand that other people's wins, it doesn't minimize your wins, and it shouldn't fester up anything you
game.
No. It make every episode, I always want to be like, we're all in this together. You know what I mean? That's all I think that needs to be the theme song.
Yeah. Compare up, I think, to get ideas, like compare up to somebody who's doing what you want to do or better or whatever. Go read the book Mindset, where she talks about the growth versus fixed mindset and that, but don't compare up and be like, oh, well, they had it easier because of this, or I had it more difficult. But compare up and say, like, what are they doing? What can I do differently to get that? Yeah. And don't compare down, because I would do that too in the past. I'd be like, well, I'm not drinking as much. At least I'm not drinking like that person. I'm not drinking. I'm not as bad as that person, or I didn't get a D, I got a C, in a test, and it's like, that's not helpful for anybody. And it's just, comparing, because I've had, last year people would start to say something about their day, like you said, and they'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, this is nothing. Your mom just passed. I'm like, you can feel bad about, someone cutting in line, whatever, like that doesn't diminish that feeling. Both of those can exist. And no, that's fine.
The world doesn't stop. Yeah.
Yeah. I do get, I know my brother had said this, that someone told him like, watch out for, and it was like one of the, like, anger, like, you're just gonna be walking around like thinking like, just seeing people do stuff or just say stuff, and it's like, you're just gonna be angry that like why is this, why did this happen, right? Why when there, I'm not saying
it's a slippery slope.
Yeah,
no, but I see what you're saying, because all roads lead back to that victim mentality, which leads back to not being accountable. I mean, it all leads back to that vicious cycle. Why did it happen? Because bad shit fucking happens.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, because it's life and bad shit happens.
Yeah.
And
I'm not a things happen for a reason type of person at all. Like I'm a things happen and there's a reason.
Right.
They aren't necessarily connected. Although I did yell at I was just thinking about this. I did yell at my wife last month because she, it was something simple that she went to get blood work done the Friday after New Year's, and first thing in the morning, and then she comes home and she starts taking down the Christmas decorations, and I'm like, don't ever do that again on the Friday after New Year's. And she's like, what are you talking about? Or she knew something was up when she was going to get blood work, because on January 4th, 3rd, 4th, whatever that was, my mom went to get that blood work done. She came home, she started taking down Christmas decorations, and they immediately called her and said, go to the hospital and you need some tests. And I was already in my head that morning, and then I was up here prepping for the journaling meeting, and she yells up, and I come out, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm going to get blood work." I was like, I had already had a nice cry over there already, and I'm like, "Okay, cool," and I just. And then she came back and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to start taking on Christmas decorations." And I was like, "All right, look, don't ever do this the Friday after New Year's again, please. Like, come on." Like, she's like, "I didn't even think about that." And I'm like, "I know you didn't think about that. You shouldn't have thought about that." But I was totally, that goes back to I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious. Yeah.
Well, and it's triggering, right? Like we react that way out of fear. It's triggering. And I think that especially when you lose someone, it's your brain trying to go back, and what you're really doing is trying to change the chain of reaction that led to the thing. Again, like, we're all seeking control and comfort. Like, after your mom passed and you're like, I didn't want to drink, but I felt that pull. Well, yeah, because your nervous system is in that fight or flight. And so it is like starving for something familiar and something that is going to happen. Like, if you took that drink, what's going to happen. Like, whether it's good or bad, and your nervous system and your brain loves predictability. Doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. But if you don't take the drink, and with everything happening, you don't know what's going to happen next, right? So again, like, this is where I go down this slope of research and looking, because for me, if I can understand, like, oh, I'm just searching for comfort. I'm searching for comfortability and comfort. So is what I'm attaching myself to something that's really okay to comfort me, and something that's going to, like, not hurt me, or am I just latching onto something toxic because it's just what I do and at least I know how to control that? For me, when I have that, it just helps me in those moments. Like, I have days where I can't get out of bed, not even because of my mom, like just my mental health. But I learned very on, and I will preface by saying this took me years and tons of therapy to realize it's okay, but I only allow myself 24 hours. It doesn't matter if I am like, have no motivation, if I still feel as shitty or whatever. The next day, I get my fucking ass up and I take a shower and get dressed. And that's just a promise I've made to myself, because otherwise I won't let myself waller in the bed, right? Because allowing yourself that time to go, I can't do anything today. I need to lay in the bed. And I'm a big reader too, right? So one of my biggest issues is when I'm reading and Ryan comes up to me, he's like, hey, babe, I have a question for you. And I'm like, go the fuck away. I'm in reading. Don't you see I'm in the middle of something? So I'll sit in the bed and I'll read all day. But no matter what, the next day, I get up, because otherwise I will it's a never ending cycle. I remember one time you told me you said something about laziness. It wasn't like directed at me, but you were just talking. And I was like, I thought that laziness was the goal for everybody. Like, I thought that that's what we were all working towards. Like, we work these jobs and we want to make money and pay our bills and get healthy and everything so that we get the pleasure and privilege of doing nothing. I thought that was the goal, you know?
And then we start doing nothing, and then we're like, well, this sucks.
Well, now I need to do something.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so what I heard there is you set a timer, and regardless of what happens by the end of the timer, that you are just done with it.
Yeah. It's the only thing I've been able to master so far. Okay. I'm still working on the other stuff.
Can you pull that towards some of these other things?
You know,
Yeah, that's right.
You know, that's the idea that I'm going for.
Yeah.
No, trust me.
I'll shut up.
No, I've tried the timer in the shower, and every single time I'm like, fuck you, Brian, and your stupid advice and your stupid PhD. What the hell do you know? You know, and
that's our therapist, by the way.
Yeah, Brian.
Okay.
That's my therapist, and he's great, and he's like very nerdy, which I love, and he gives me all the information, and I cuss him on a daily basis. So,
Nice.
I do.
Oh, Lord. All right, Kevin. Well, before we get you out of here, you know this is coming. I've got to ask you, because we ask all the guests, you got to give us a good story, or a couple stories at that.
A drunken story.
Good old drunken story.
Yeah.
If it involves pee, it's even better.
You went to college. You were in a fraternity.
You've got tons, I know.
I remember when I was in college and I briefly dated the vice president of fraternity, and that shit's bad. I know you have some good ones.
Yeah. Why did you have to say pee? A lot of pee stories. My sister-in-law at their old house was so angry that I always picked the one like rhododendron in the corner of their yard, because we would always be out there drinking, and I was like, that is the healthiest thing in this yard. Look at that thing. I'm like, I'm just saying, stop yelling at me for this. Look at it. Look at the proof. But no, there was one. I was in my head this morning about this, and I had an idea, and then I texted my wife, and I'm like, what would you say? And she threw out something. She's just like, she goes, the corner of Douglas and Douglas. And I'm like, oh, that's good. So this is more, I don't know if it's funny or it's more, she wasn't happy at the time, but it's funny now. It was a work function, and we were downtown, and my buddy and I were coming home. He lives like 5 minutes that way. But we were taking an Uber or a cab home or something. So he was, I texted her and said, can you come and pick me up at his house? And she's like, sure, fine. Like, it was later, but so she had to pack up my daughter, put her in the car. She was sleeping, and come get me. And she texted me. She's like, where does he live? And I texted her at the time. I was blackout at this point, and all I texted her was the corner of Douglas and Douglas. And there is a road that's close to he doesn't live on Douglas. It's a road close to his house that is Douglas. And but it must have like, I don't know if I was typing something and it just auto corrected or if I just typed that, but I wrote her the corner of Douglas to Douglas and then went dark. Radio silence. I don't know if I don't think my phone didn't die. I thought it was going to, and I was conserving it. So I like put it away, but I wasn't paying attention. And luckily we had, I'm assuming she used our Life 360, and she found me. But she was so pissed until she couldn't get into that for some reason, and it wasn't updating for me. And there's so many issues. So now every time we drive past this road, which we do it all the time, a comment is probably going to be made about, hey, there's the corner of Douglas and Douglas.
Douglas.
This that random ass place that doesn't exist. My brother started calling it the nexus of the universe, just because, it's like, she was so mad at that. I have a lot of probably stories that are funny now that she would laugh out now that probably weren't good. But my P story is freshman year in college. It was in our dorm. We were drinking. My roommate didn't drink. Also, kind of funny, his name is Doug too. So maybe there's a theme. Douglas theme. But I was going into the restroom all night, and I, used the urinal. Well, I found myself passed out in bed at one point, and he was up. He was on his computer, like doing something. He was going in and out, and he was in there at the time though. And I got up, shut our door, leaned up against it, and started peeing on the door in our dorm room. To which he's like, "Are you peeing?" And I'm like, "No, it's fine. Just go back to bed." And because that's what I did, the same kind of motion I was doing the entire night, but in the restroom. And I woke up the next day and I kind of looked over. I'm like, "Oh shit, I did do that." So that was,
You guys are just like anxious little terriers when you drink. Just like you have to find a pee corner. My brother walked into my room one night. He drunk something into my room from his room, opened my closet door, pissed in my laundry hamper full of clothes, and then walked out, went back to his room, went to sleep. This one, we went to Asheville, randomly whips it out in a hotel room, starts pissing on the floor. Had no recollection. I'm like, okay, this is just a thing that boys do.
And usually I'm a wall slapper. I'm like the one that likes to
this
lean,
was dead center of the room.
For whatever reason, it was dead center of the room. It just seemed like a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, there's always, it's funny that you say that, but there's always I know my brother told me a story when they were at a work training and somebody came back to their dorm room and they're rooming with other people from other offices, and they peed on that guy, the other guy.
Oh God!
I don't think he lasted much longer.
No,
I think he got sent home, and but yeah, it's a thing, and then, I mean, there are too many funny stories that that's why I say like drinking wasn't something that I'm like, oh, everything I did was, I could have done without it or whatever. I mean, no, there's some funny stuff that happened. And I got I went on a college visit to the college I went to here when I was a senior, and I just got totally drunk that night. They got me drunk that night, ended up throwing up and all that. But that night, I got my whole nickname in college from that one night. Because they couldn't remember my name, and they were like, "Hey, Skip, can you hand me that beer?" And they're like, "What did you call him?" He's like, "Skip," and so they were calling me that the whole night. And I get there, and I remember being first day on campus, freshman orientation, all that. I was in the bookstore, and I hear somebody behind me, "Skip, Skip," and then eventually I'm like, "Who the fuck is looking for this guy?" And I turn around, and I recognize them from my visit, and I'm like, oh shit, that's gonna stick.
This is it. I'm Skip.
Yeah, I'm like, the fact that he still called me that, and that's what they called me. And my sophomore year, I was a linebacker playing football. My linebackers coach, we finally had somebody move from the line back to linebackers. His name was Kevin. And the linebackers coach was like, "Hey, Kevin, go over there and we'll do this." And I start walking. He's like, "Not you, Skip, Kevin." And then that became the joke where like, he doesn't know my name.
That's hilarious. Listen, if you ever write a book, a novel, or you ever need an alter ego or alias, it needs to be Skip Douglas.
Skip Douglas.
Skip Douglas. Nice. That's awesome.
That's your name.
That's funny.
I love it. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us on the show, man. It was
This is great.
I know
Thank you both.
it's been a long time coming, but it was definitely a pleasure for me. It was great to hear your story and have you on this side, on the other side of it for a change, which is really
I
cool.
know. This is where my heart rate gets up more versus in the meetings.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Tell us one more time where you can download, Reframe, all that good stuff.
Anywhere apps are sold. No, Apple Store or Android store. So it's available for Android, iOS, Reframe Ultra are out there. And yeah, that's it. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Awesome.
It's and that's, like just I'll finish on this real quick is like one of the reasons like that I left accounting and came to work for Reframe was because it was in my pocket and it offered the cutback route. So you can moderate, you can work on moderation or quitting alcohol. And I think that's just so important to have that door open, because that's what I was looking for and I couldn't find anything. So I kept drinking because I'm like, I'm not going to do AA. It's not like I'm going to stop. So why would I go do that? But I just kept drinking. And this just offers that space that you can go in anonymously, download an app in your pocket. And yeah, that was a huge piece for me to really go all in on, because I love that ability, because I think it's so important to have, because we're all different.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you got that right. There's no one size fits all.
Nope.
Yeah.
Kevin, this has been great. This has been amazing. Sorry, Ryan, for our ADHD rants.
I enjoyed the shit out of it. I love it. That's great.
Could have been worse.
Yeah.
It's way worse.
We'll come back and we won't take our meds that day.
That'll be fun.
Oh, Lord. I'll be out that
Welcome
day.
to our 6-hour podcast episode about absolutely nothing.
Oh, we did. You had Static on. You had Emma on too, right? The three of us
Oh, yes.
on one, and it was later in the night because of Emma. For me, once I get to a certain point of the night, if I host the meeting, you're gonna know my ADHD's
wear
on
off.
full force.
They wear off. Okay.
Yeah.
Kevin, thanks a lot, buddy.
Thanks,
We
Kevin.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks to you both.
Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.
If you love the podcast, which I know you do, please like, subscribe.
And hit that notification bell to get
Boom.
notified every time we post.
That's right. Dropping them, baby. Word.